Welcome back to the Arizona Daily Mix. Dr. Rizik is back because we are going to be doing another procedure. And if you missed the first one, it was very much life-saving procedure that we saw. And all the procedures you do are life-saving, but that one was really amazing because it's no longer opening the heart up. It's giving people more chances on living than the past. And also, too, this is new technology that's taking place.
Really remarkable stuff. New technology, always innovating. That's really the fun part of medicine and the fun part of cardiovascular medicine. There's no field of medicine that innovates quite as quickly and as completely as cardiovascular medicine. I think we ought to talk about coronary disease. It's the #1 killer in America.
Yes, and that's so important here because a lot of people get a little kind of like confused about what coronary disease is and what a heart attack is and the way it works. So let's go through a little bit about coronary disease.
Coronary disease, think of the coronary arteries as the plumbing of the heart, if you will. And just like the pipes in your basement can become corroded, the coronary arteries can become corroded, and we call that coronary artery disease. Fat and plaque can build up in the coronary arteries, and patients can experience chest pain, or what we call angina or angina, as some people call it, or they can have a heart attack. If the arteries of the heart occlude or block up completely, it's called a heart attack. So, and the primary symptoms that patients can feel is chest pain or chest pressure, although we make a distinction. Men and women can have very different symptoms, and it's very important to understand that men will have different symptoms than women may have.
Yeah. What causes this disease?
Really, a number of things. So many causes to coronary disease. The basic building block of developing coronary disease is fat and plaque building up in the coronary arteries, but it's what you eat, it's smoking, it's being a diabetic, it's the things you do and the things you don't do, lack of exercise. All of these things can work together and maybe become like a perfect storm and lead to the development of coronary disease. But the good thing is that in 2021 we have lots of treatments for coronary disease.
Yeah. And that's what we're going to be leading up to the procedure each week, talking about this and what's going to be going on. So let's start a little back here about a stent. And I say it right?
You said it right.
Good. I want to make sure. I think a lot of people see the doctor shows and the movies and they hear that, let's put a stent in and let's put a balloon in and all that. But that's kind of like the old way of putting just the balloon in there, am I right?
That's correct. If you look back at the evolution of treatment of coronary disease, well, the first thing is prevention, and we've talked about prevention on this show. Eating right, lowering your cholesterol, maybe taking cholesterol pills, treating your diabetes. If you look back at the treatments, the mechanical therapies for coronary disease back in the 80s and early 90s, it was just bypass surgery. But then a whole new field of interventional cardiology came along, and we started putting balloons in these arteries. And the balloons were very good at opening the arteries, but those arteries have elasticity to them, so they, over time, would close about 40 or 50% of the time.
Wow.
And then in the 90s, some really great science led to the development of stents. And I want you to think of a stent like maybe a spring on an ink pen. We put those stents in the coronary arteries, and unlike balloon therapy where the arteries can recoil and close over time, stents and drug-coated stents, the latest iteration of stents, really only allow the blood vessel to close maybe 4 or 5% of the time. Really great, groundbreaking therapies.
Wow. I'll tell you, Dr. Rizik, it is so great having you here and learning all this, especially at my age. I'm 51. Heart disease runs in the family, and this is important stuff to pay attention to, watch and see what's going on. So I'm looking forward to this procedure, and I know you'll be back, and we'll talk more about, again, what's going to be happening coming up this May with us. So I appreciate you being here.
Looking so forward to having you back in the cardiac catheterization lab.
Thank you. Well, if you want to see the procedures that we did perform, please go to aztv.com/procedure and see about a groundbreaking medical procedure that Dr. Rizik and his team did. So, all right, stick around. We got more of the Daily Mix coming up after this.